justice and peace and equality. Now the world they will see. That's why we run.
We're here with Judge Ralph Bailey. I'm sorry about that. How you doing today, Judge Bailey?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Great. Can't complain. Who is Judge Bailey?
Well, I'm originally from Bowling Green, Kentucky. I came to Henry County, McDonough, in 2004 from the United States Army, where I was stationed at Fort McPherson. Stayed on active duty until 2006 and then got off active duty. I came to Henry County because my wife and I wanted to move to Henry County because of the great schools, the low crime. I'm married, have 2 daughters, and I started working at the District Attorney's Office in Henry County around about 2013, and I loved it and just loved working here in the county. So.
Awesome. So you worked in the Henry County District Attorney Office before you became a judge actually in Henry County, is that correct?
Yes, I worked in the District Attorney's office from 2013 until 2017. I also worked in Fulton District Attorney's office from 2007 to 2010. And as I mentioned, what brought me to Henry County was the United States Army. I've been in the United States Army JAG Corps since 2002. I've been in there almost 22 years now. I was on active duty and then got off active duty and started working in the community.
Awesome. Reading your bio, we see that you have a great interest in working for the community, serving through the armed forces, the military armed forces. You have an extensive background in military. Tell us how you got started in the military at a younger age, and what inspired you to go in that direction to serve the country?
Sure. Well, my father was a Air Force security police officer prior to my birth. And so I just learned about serving the community through him and also being in the military. My father-in-law as well was in the United States Army. He did about 20 years in the United States Army. So I always had an interest in joining the military. So after law school, I decided to join the Army JAG Corps. And that was back in 2002, and I was stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, where I was both a prosecutor and then later became a defense attorney there at Fort Hood. Then I transferred over to Fort McPherson. I've also served some time at Fort Benning, Georgia as a defense attorney. And currently I'm in the reserves where I'm a regional defense attorney stationed out of Alexandria, Virginia. So basically I'm kind of like one of the head public defenders, so to speak, in the military for the Tennessee Valley.
Awesome. So you still actually practice in your law practice within the military, residing as a judge. So it seems as though your schedule is packed. A family man, reserve still. I mean, you're clicking like a young fella still.
Well, sometimes, that I try to balance my schedule. So, but yes, I'm very busy.
Awesome. Now, when it comes down to the military, we see that you serve as an active lawyer of defense for the military in that protocol. How did that transition to make you want to go from there to preside as a judge, a state court judge?
Sure. So back when I was an assistant district attorney in Fulton County from 2007 to 2010, as well as in Henry County from 2013 to 2017, I was a prosecutor on the civilian side, and ironically, I was a defense attorney in the military for the reserves. So I was doing both. So that really helped me in becoming a judge because I could see both sides of the table. And so just going to court all the time and also working on both sides of the table, that's one of the reasons why I became interested to become a judge.
Awesome. Now, you served as a accountability court judge, state court judge here in Henry County, serving in veteran affairs, domestic violence. I think it was.
I do misdemeanors as well. civil lawsuits greater than 15,000, and traffic offenses. And so with our accountability courts, I'm the co-judge for our Veterans Treatment Court, where we have veterans that come in, they have committed some crimes, and so and they are also individuals who are suffering from some type of mental health disorder. Most of them have post-traumatic stress disorder. And so we find them initially when they get arrested, and we decide that, we ask them if they want to be in our Veterans Treatment Court. And so with that, they agreed to come into the Veterans Treatment Court, which is generally about a 18 to 24-month program where they receive extensive treatment and counseling to help them overcome any issues that they have.
Okay. Now, being that you were in the law field and you worked on both sides of the fence as a judge, many people don't look at veterans that, typically we see two sides of veterans. We see one where people go into the armed forces, they're living a luxurious life, and then we see veterans who are just struggling when they come back home, struggling from PTSD. How do you guys balance that, and what's the value of the Veterans Court that you guys are implementing, working with these veterans when it comes to like mental health, that type of thing?
And that's essentially what the Veterans Treatment Court is all about. People who have served our country, they've raised their right hands that they will protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And then they get off of active duty, and they're suffering from, as I mentioned, PTSD, traumatic brain injury, and they get into a little trouble. And so when they get into some trouble, we grab them, and with our Veterans Treatment Court, they have to do that counseling and classes, and they meet with the judges. Judge Pandora Palmer is also the other co-judge with our Veterans Treatment Court. But they meet with us twice a month, once every other week, and we go over everything that they've learned in their counseling, and just to make sure they're abiding by the court orders and abiding by their treatment plans.
At ViStar Credit Union, you inspire us to deliver on our promise, to do good for our members and our communities. That's why we offer more banking options, like better rates and no hidden fees. We also give back, donating several $1 million to hundreds of nonprofits each year. Better financial lives, stronger communities. That's our focus. ViStar Credit Union. Do good. Bank better.
At Home Depot, we have something called the value wheel, where taking care of our people and respect for all drives us to do the right thing. Giving back in the entrepreneurial spirit of serving the community, priding ourselves on excellent customer service in an effort to build strong relationships while creating shareholder value. Many veterans who have served our country suffer detrimental health issues while fighting to protect us, and that's why we partner with nonprofit organizations to give gratitude for those who put their life on the line. Gardening is one of the most affordable defenses in maintaining good health, and Grazing in the Grass gardening instructor Miss Crystal Dickens knows firsthand. We are proud to join her and Grace Baptist Church in an effort to achieve our goal. This is our why, the value wheel.
Gotcha. Now, you also work with hand in hand. We talked about the domestic violence cases. A lot of times that's stereotype. Like African American community, white community, Caucasian community, Mexican community. It's a lot of times stereotype to where it happens on the scene. And I could just say in Henry County, from just based off of working with different people that I work with and hearing the stories. On the scene, we're seeing where both people are being locked up behind domestic violence now. It's not just the woman, it's not just the man. How are you responding to fair and impartial treatment when it comes to addressing domestic violence cases and treating that as an intricate matter?
Well, the Domestic Violence Treatment Court, what we have is a pre-adjudication court. So this is before they are, in fact, before they go to court and are found guilty or not guilty. So what we do is we try to make sure they're abiding by the bond conditions. So of course some of the bond conditions are they are to stay away from that alleged victim, or have no contact, or no violent contact, things of that nature, stay away from a particular location. So what I'm doing basically is just kind of monitoring them. So, but in regards to your question as far as the men versus the women, and making sure that they are treated fairly. Everyone that comes into my courtroom, I try to make sure that they are treated fairly, regardless of what type of background they come from, who they are, what they look like, or whatever. So, everyone is treated fairly. And with our domestic violence court, because it is pre-adjudication, I always tell them, hey, look, everyone is innocent until proven guilty, and you have not been proven guilty yet. Here, you're just in a domestic violence court, so we can monitor your bond conditions. You're innocent until proven guilty.
Right. A lot of times, in monitoring those bond conditions or whatever, are you determining whether that stays on a state court level or felony superior court level, or are you in charge of that, or are you just monitoring them to make sure the conditions are safe inside?
Right, I'm just monitoring them. As far as the determination if it's a misdemeanor or a felony, that would be up to either our district attorney, Darius Patillo, or our Solicitor General, Pamela Bettis. And so they make the determination of where it's going to go. If Pam Bettis, who is our solicitor, has a case that has initially been charged as a misdemeanor, and she believes that the offenses are a little bit more aggravated, then she will refer it over to Darius Patillo in the district attorney's office.
Awesome. When it comes down, how does that play a role in the accountability courts? Because I know working with Judge Lewis, when she does the DUI court, it's like a class that you have to go through. And a graduation process. What are the accountability matters that happens in the court systems that you're over? When it comes to what is that process like?
Sure. Well, the main thing, the Veterans Treatment Court is almost similar to our DUI court. There are classes that you have to take. As I mentioned, it's about 18 to 24 months of where you have to attend classes. You start off at level 1 and you go all the way up to a level 5. Level 1, you're on curfew, you're monitored, you have to submit to your analysis, things of that nature. And then you get to a level 5 where the conditions are more relaxed because you've been in the program longer and you have basically shown that you can abide by the conditions that were set for you by the judge. And so it's similar, and at the end there's a graduation. We just had a graduation about 2 weeks ago for a veteran, and he was actually our first veteran who made it through the program without receiving any citations. And so if you receive a citation, you could have to sometimes write a letter of an apology. It may consist of more community service. It may consist of extra curfew, and it could include jail time or even termination from the program.
Awesome. Now, with accountability court, I see as the guard has changed in Henry County, so to say, and you guys are working together. How important is it now? Because we're not just throwing people in jail. And not to say we're not being harsh and doing our job, but what role, or how do you feel about accountability court versus just sentencing, slamming somebody and saying, hey, it's time served? How does that, improve the community, improve the engagement between law enforcement and community?
I'm a big proponent of accountability courts. I actually started my career off as a probation and parole officer in Louisville, Kentucky back in the mid-90s. We had started a drug court, a drug treatment court during that time. And so I saw how that drug treatment court really helped individuals. And I know you just can't throw everybody in jail. A lot of times people have underlying issues and problems that they have and that they need to be treated. And so that's what accountability courts are all about, because we just can't, as I mentioned, everybody can't go to jail. Now, of course, if you are doing something really bad or really serious, or you're a repeat offender, then, there are repercussions. But when a person needs some treatment, then that's what accountability courts are all about.
Awesome. Now, we also know that accountability courts are 15% of what state court is. Because, yes, we get the nice side of we want to help, but at the same time, you have to serve the bench with being fair and impartial.
Absolutely.
What does it mean to you to serve and being fair and impartial, making sure that you're casting the right judgments, monitoring our community in the fashion that you see that God has set forth?
Well, being fair and impartial means, as I had mentioned, justice is blind. Like Lady Justice, the statute, justice is blind, and so she has a blindfold over her, and that's how I see people when they first walk in. I have to hear the facts and the evidence from the prosecutor, and they have to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt in order to convict someone. Otherwise, a person walks into my courtroom, they are innocent until proven guilty. So I believe that they're innocent at that initial phase until the prosecutor or the government has in fact proven their case against them beyond a reasonable doubt. So in order to, as I mentioned, everyone that walks in is treated fairly and impartial.
At Eagles Landing Diabetes and Endocrinology, our business is your health. Dr. Ronald S. Watts and his staff are dedicated to the pillars of quality health, such as equity, effectiveness, efficiency, integration, safety, timeliness, and people-centeredness. Eagles Landing Diabetes and Endocrinology specializes in the evaluation and treatment of diabetes and endocrine disorders, thyroid, neck, and parathyroid gland ultrasound examinations, and vascular examination for peripheral artery disease are just some of the services that Dr. Ronald S. Watts and his staff provide. Looking for treatment? We are currently accepting new patients. Eagles Landing Diabetes and Endocrinology accepts all major insurance. Give us a call at 770-389-9494 or visit us at 550 Eagles Landing Parkway, Suite 110, Stockbridge, Georgia. Eagles Landing Diabetes and Endocrinology. Our business is your health. Visit us at eldiabetes.org. Curtis Butler III was born and raised in Charleston, South Carolina. His family originates from the small nearby town of Aiken. After graduating high school, Curtis joined the Army. He served his nation admirably during combat and decided the time was right to start a civilian life. Somewhere along the way, things failed to turn out as planned. Curtis soon found himself homeless while facing one of the toughest battles of his life. Instead of allowing the situation to dictate his life, Curtis struck out and took control, making him a hero all over again by winning a 7-year fight with the VA administration in obtaining his disability benefits, and now helps others in the same situation. Curtis is now an advocate for veterans. He has written 2 books. His second book is A Warrior Married to His Wife and PTSD. Curtis understood far too many veterans were coming home to nothing and are being forgotten. His hope is to help as many of his fellow veterans during their struggle to find meaning and purpose in the real world as they adjust to a normal life. Don't give up. Help is out there.
Awesome. Now, do you think the stereotype of, don't come down to Henry County no more, you know what I'm saying, versus what we've seen an influx of people, do you think that stereotype hurt us, or have we moved forward or backwards? Because yes, people were saying don't come to Henry County, but now a lot of people moving here and crime and drama has increased.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see Henry County going in the future when it comes to, I guess, making sure we keep crime at a low level?
Well, I think that goes with policing. We have to have good policing in order to enforce the crimes. Of course, we have to have fair and impartial judges to make sure that, to keep the police accountable. As we've seen in the past, that there are situations where, the police are violating the laws. And so, that's where the judges and also the prosecutors come in. They have to make sure and hold the police accountable for things that, if they have violated the law. But in regards to Henry County, of course, Henry County has changed since I came back in 2004, 2005. To me, it's more diverse. I've seen a big diversity change or a shift from when I came. My kids started school, were in school in 2004 and 2005, and I've seen just a difference in the yearbooks of how diverse the county has, as well as with our jury pool. When I started as a prosecutor in 2013, we had a majority Caucasian jury pool, but now it is very mixed. Not only mixed with African Americans, but you are seeing Asians and, of course, Hispanics here in Henry County as well.
What does diversity mean for you in a community growth?
It means a lot to me. That is one of the main reasons why I chose Henry County and chose Atlanta, or the suburban Atlanta area, as a place to raise my children. Coming from Kentucky, a place that was, I think my high school only had 8% African American. And so diversity means everything to me. That means that no matter what you look like or where you come from, you have a chance to be and achieve anything through diversity. And I believe that just me sitting here on the bench is just is an example of that. I was the first African American male appointed as a state court judge here in Henry County.
Wow, I did not know that. I did not know that. As the first African American state court judge here in Henry County. Male.
Yes.
And I've had the honor of interviewing the first African American female
Right.
Superior Court judge. It's just been an honor working with you guys and really digging deep in what's going on and what's happening here in Henry County. How does that make you feel? First African American male. When we were living in this county, I remember you guys had to come through here. You didn't see any African American males.
Well, honored, but also thinking about, I was appointed in 2021, and, it took until 2021 for the first black male to be appointed as a full-time judge. So I'm glad that things are changing here in Henry County, but of course honored to say that I am the first black male full-time judge here in the county.
Awesome. Now you have a particular focus when it comes to veterans.
Absolutely.
Veterans, your heart is for serving veterans. You have an event coming up where you'll be speaking to veterans during the month of November. You'll be moving throughout the county working with veterans in the community. Tell us what we should look for as far as you working with veterans and how you're bridging that gap with the veterans.
Okay, well, one is just working with our Veterans Treatment Court, as well as I also help out with our American Legion Post 516, who are veterans here in the McDonough, Henry County. The event that you're talking about is our Veterans Day event that's going to be on Veterans Day, November 11th, 2023. That's a Saturday. And so every year here in Henry County that I know of, we've had an event to honor our veterans. Where there's a guest or a keynote speaker, and this year I'm fortunate enough to be our keynote speaker. And I'm going to speak about thanking you for your service. That is my message that I'm going to talk about. Thank you for your service.
Give us a little bit about what a lot of people would take for granted what our veterans had to do to protect this country.
Absolutely.
Why would you say thank you in just a short mention?
Well, in my speech, I talk about what service really means, okay? And I break it down. I say service is talking about selflessness and sacrifice, talking about the employment that a person chooses, because it's not just any old employment. When you are serving the country, you start off your job, you don't go to a conference room or, where you're killed, well, not killed, but where you receive PowerPoint presentation after PowerPoint presentation. You've got to go to basic training where you learn a skill. I talk about always being ready. That's a thing that military members have to do. Talk about valor, the unconquerable soul, competence, and just also saying that the service that a person has done in the military is everlasting. And it's everlasting. I say that because the gratitude is everlasting, because just things like the post 9/11 GI Bill, the Montgomery GI Bill, our veterans, our VA loans for housing, things of that nature. It's just an everlasting gratitude that you receive as being a veteran. And so that's some of the things that I'm going to be talking about.
Awesome. Your Honor, I grew up in a culture where basketball and football is looked at as the gold mine of making it in America for youth that look like you and I.
Absolutely.
Okay. What would you say to that young person that's looking for that direction, who, doesn't know that it's somebody that looks like him, who can be a judge, who can be a prosecutor, who can go and serve their country, who can have a family? What do you say to that young boy in the middle school, in the high school that's looking for that direction, what do you say to them in following their dreams?
Well, I say always, well, just keep grinding. I think just keep grinding, and always work hard. No matter where you are, what you're doing, just always strive to be the best. And sometimes that doesn't mean that you always got to make an A or even a B. But always strive to do your best, and abide by the law, follow the policies and procedures. But the main thing is always keep striving to do your best. If you are in one particular area, strive to be the president or the head of that organization or that group. And, that's one thing that I could just say. And in regards to the sports analogy, I believe every little boy or girl, I guess every little boy grows up thinking that I want to be the next LeBron. I want to be the next Pat Mahomes or whatever, or Michael Vick or Lamar Jackson. I went to Louisville, so, I'm a big Lamar Jackson fan. But there's a guy told me one time there's like, a triangle or a pyramid. And so, there's a lot of people, of course, that start off their career playing sports, playing football, playing basketball. But as you continue to grow, that number of people that are playing those sports continues to shrink. And so it's only the best and the top of the best people are the ones that make it to the NBA, make it to the NFL. So you have to have another goal or strategy in mind of what you want to do in life. Of course, always strive. If you want to be an NBA player, of course, put in that work to be an NBA player. But if that doesn't happen, if you're like me, if you're 5'0", then you need to think of some type of alternative career. And so, when I was young, if someone would have told me that I was going to be a lawyer and a judge, I would have said, you're lying. But I just kept striving, kept trying to do the best that I could do, treated people with dignity and respect. And, I just became blessed to have this position.
Awesome. Now, tell us, last but not least, tell us about your staff. What is day-to-day operations in the life of a judge?
Sure.
Because I don't think we get to see that. I think we see you guys on the bench when we come to court, and it's like we're talking to someone and we're pleading ourselves, please have mercy on me. But
right.
What is day-to-day life like for a judge, balancing the things that you have to balance?
Okay, sure. Well, in regards, first of all, my staff, I have a staff of 3 other individuals. I have my judicial assistant who basically takes care of, I call her my boss lady, okay? Because she takes care of everything that I need. She keeps my schedule together. She answers my phone. She sometimes tells me what's going on in the courtroom or things that are going on outside that I may have forgotten or just need some assistance. I also have my staff attorney. My staff attorney, I call her my VP because those are her initials. And so she provides the legal research for me. She runs my civil calendar. And then I also have my court reporter who, of course, is in the court with me while we have court. In regards to the day-to-day operations, I come to work and court starts at 9 o'clock. So I immediately take the bench. And so here in state court, we have misdemeanors. We have a civil calendar where those are lawsuits, 15,000 or more. We have a probation revocation calendar, and we have our traffic calendar as well. And then about twice a month, I do our domestic violence calendar, and also twice a month, I do our veterans treatment court. So I stay very busy. But of course, when I'm not on the bench, I'm in the back in the chambers. I'm doing research. I'm signing orders. I am looking over things that have where arguments and motions from the attorneys, and doing research with my staff attorney. And to be quite honest, I'm a very laid-back person, so sometimes we're back there and we try to have some fun because you can't have all work and no play. So I try to make sure that it's also a very relaxed environment in the back.
Awesome, awesome. And what are some of the things you like to do in your off time?
I love to play golf. I'm a big golfer. I'm a big, like I said, Louisville Cardinal basketball fan. So I watch sports. I love basketball. Right now, fantasy football has just started, so playing fantasy football. And of course, to my family, which, I digress and not have spoken a lot about my family, but I've been married. At the end of the month will be 27 years, and I have 2 daughters. They're both adults, and so of course spending time with my family is always wonderful as well.
We just completed our last summer publication, Understanding the Business of Marriage.
Mm-hmm.
You just said 27 years.
Absolutely.
What's the secret?
The secret. Well, I would say this. Always be friends. Remember that you married that person for a reason. And so I married my best friend. And so we were friends before we got married. And so just to always remember that person is, in fact, your friend.